This is the Career Intelligence Podcast. I'm your host, Kathleen Dohoney, a career coach and owner of Celtic Career Pros. My guest, Judaline Cassidy, is a union plumber, a trailblazer, and the founder of Tools Tiaras, a movement empowering the next generation of girls to pick up tools and claim their space in the trades. Did you know STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math, is just as important for the trades too? Well, she discusses these skills needed and how the trades make a great career. With more than 3 decades in the field, Judaline is proof that strength, skill, and success don't belong to one gender. And through her work, she's helping girls as young as 6 discover confidence, independence, and opportunity, one tool at a time. Her mantra says it all: jobs don't have genders. And this is a conversation about resilience, representation with women, and rethinking everything you thought you knew about the trades. Let's get started. Okay, 250 young girls attended Judaline Cassidy's Tools Tiaras summer camp in 2025. Wow, Judaline, that's amazing. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. That total amount is between the camps and the workshops, and sometimes we work with partners, other nonprofits, and bring our programming to them.
So excited to have you on here to discuss Tools Tiara. Could you tell us about yourself so the audience can hear who you are?
Yeah, so I am Judaline, as you said. I love to say it again. I am from the beautiful Twin Islands of Trinidad and Tobago. And I grew up wanting to be other things besides a plumber. I wanted to be Wonder Woman and a lawyer. Yes, Linda Beer. We just aging ourselves with that one, but I was so enamored with her and things like Nancy Drew that I wanted to be a lawyer and a Wonder Woman. And, I grew up with my great grandmother. And after secondary school, I couldn't become a lawyer. So that changed. And now I moved to the US and then I pursued being a nanny, a housekeeper. And now I have been a union plumber from Staten Island, started in Staten Island. And now I've been a plumber almost 30 years in the plumbing industry.
Amazing. And you've built a career on breaking barriers in the trades. So what first pulled you towards plumbing?
What pulled me first in Trinidad and Tobago, as I was kind of like stating earlier, I really wanted to be a lawyer. And growing up in the Caribbean, I just went back recently for something, and it's still the same. Kids want to be barristers, that's what we call it, and be in careers that our parents really push us to be, like doctors and all of these things. So the trades wasn't an option, but since I couldn't attend university, the cost of it, the trades was the free option. And I am very logical. When I looked at it, I knew I didn't want to get shocked. And also, that particular school had courses that I know a lot of women would be attempting to get into, like the culinary arts, sewing. I'll age myself. Some of us know about secretarial was actually like a course or a career that people would go after back then. And I knew that my chances of getting in would be limited because there's so many women would be applying. So that's why I tried the trades and I bet on the odds, even though I don't gamble. I just figured that that would be a better chance of getting a yes than a, even though they're going to tell me no, I still had a better chance of trying that. And that's kind of like how I fell into plumbing because it was it was the best free option for me.
So as the first woman accepted into Plumbers Local 371, what was that like? Was it harder to do the work or to be accepted?
It was harder getting in, not so much being accepted. When I started working for that particular company, they love to send people who've been working for them dual plumbing and heating. When young people come to work for them, they give you like a little trial, see how you show up for work on time, if you know what you're doing, you're willing to learn. And at that time, people, it's 30 years ago, it's a different time. The men were the priorities. So when I went down, they didn't want to accept me. And an amazing man named Brian Totora stepped up, spoke for me, and spoke to someone, and he helped me get into the union. So I wasn't thinking about it like, oh, I'm going to be the first woman. I didn't even, it was even like a lot of the first that I realized when people pointed out, I am not shooting for that. I'm just looking for me. I just need a job. But, you know, I was just looking like, this is so much better than being non-union. Like I wanted to get in and I wanted to learn uh, even more from what I'd learned in Trinidad, the science behind plumbing, because in Trinidad, we use a one pipe system, which is like the British. And in America, it's a two pipe system, which is the vent and the waste. So I was more excited to be challenged to learn a different system. So that's kind of like how I get it into the union. The work itself has never been a challenge. Like most women would tell you who have been in construction, it's never the physical work. Men will jump into the comments and make silly things like, you can't lift up that 6-inch pipe. You shouldn't have to. Most women, it's the culture and getting in. That's what it is. The work itself is beautiful, very beautiful.
So for listeners who hear plumbing, being in the union, working on commercial projects,
Yes.
explain to our audience a little bit about what that's like, because when we think of plumbing, we think
Yeah.
of residential.
Yeah.
So
So I'm glad that you mentioned that because there's different types of plumbing, residential, commercial. And the residential is mostly either you might work where they're building custom homes or you might be working where you're going in and doing repairs. Commercial, which is really cool here in New York City, you might be working on a 60-story, 40-story, 90-story. I did that once, 90-story building. You could be working on a sewage plant. You could be working on a huge school, a big outdoor mall or something like that. So it's a little bit different than working in residential. So in residential, you deal with the client. On the commercial, the client, we don't ever have to deal with the person who decided to build this big building. And the scope of work is totally different in the sense of the pipe is bigger, there's more entailed in it. It could take a year, it could take 2 years. Whereas when you build in residential, the plumber could go in one day, like maybe 4 days. He does the roughing, which is like the drainage and the vents, and then he can go back another day and do the water supply. The carpenters come and then he can come back afterwards for the finish. So it's a little bit, it takes a little bit longer in commercial. Yeah.
So for anyone who might be interested, tell us a little bit about the career paths. You start as an apprentice and then what happens from there.
Yeah. So the great thing is what I love about the union apprenticeships and union apprenticeship in general is that you earn while you learn. So as a first year you get in, I believe ours is like $19.75 now to start, but it's just a start. And you attend school at the same time. So picture it this way. Every day you show up on a job site and you learn from another plumber who has been doing this longer than you or who journeyed out. We like to say journeyman. He's a journeyman. I'm speaking about union, and then we can talk about non-union. So for union, you're going to be partnered with somebody who is considered a journeyman. They already went through the apprenticeship. The apprenticeship is 5 years. So for 5 years, you'll be working with different journey people, and you get to learn the skill hands-on while you go into school. And now, when I went to school, I went once a week from 5 to 9. Now it's so much better. They get to go during the daytime. I think it's probably once a week or once every couple of weeks they get to go to school, and they actually learn the science behind what you're doing on the job site. So a lot of times people can learn from repetition. You've met people who learn to do art, or they learn to do a lot of things just naturally gifted, right? Or they pick up stuff easily. So they may not know that's why it's good to get a plumber who knows what they're doing. There's a big science behind why the vent is a certain way, why the toilet is a certain distance from the wall, why it is we have to use different pipes. So that's the magic and the beautiful thing you learn during the apprenticeship, going to school, right? And after every year or every 6 months, so you get a raise depending on how you perform at school. You have to at least have a 70% average and keep that up. And once you pass, you take a test, you go to the next level, you get a raise. You take a test, you pass to the next level. So it's 5 years of getting the increase. In the plumbers in New York City, you get 75% of the journeyman's rate. And it's a game changer, the union salary and the whole process, because during that time, you have access to healthcare, 401k plan, pension. Listen, there's no healthcare like a union healthcare. It's called the Cadillac. It's that good. But what I love about it is you can start your station in life like I did, extremely poor. And because of getting an apprenticeship, a union apprenticeship, your trajectory changed. You're middle class. You now can have the ability to start a business. You can become an officer in the union. It opens up so many doors doing that apprenticeship. And what I love now, our most union apprenticeships now allow students to get a bachelor's degree while they're there for free. So all of this is paid for by the members. You work your hourly rate. Our schools is funded by our membership. It's like an ecosystem, like the rainforest. Everything just works the way it should.
Yeah, I think what's so important is that you mentioned the ability to get the education, really having the community behind you in that sense of the union. Now, you started Tools and Tiaras. So finish this.
Yeah.
It exists because
Tools and Tiaras exist because it was needed. It was needed. Being in this business for 30 years, I used to be the only woman on a job site. And since 1970 until I believe like about 4 years ago, the amount of women in construction was 3%. That's abysmal. And that needed to change. Yeah, it was really, really bad. It just went up to 4%, close to 4%. And women working in construction in general is the one who working on the engineering, the office, all of that. That is actually now finally with some movement about 11%. Just think about that. So that's why Tools and Tiaras was needed, right? Because a lot of women come into the trade, and the problem is has nothing to do with the work. People might want to say that we do not leave because of the work. It's the culture. So I wanted to change that by creating and investing in the future warriors. If they feel empowered as a young girl and never lose that, they can then show up in any job site, whether it be construction or the office space, fully in their power. And I know that's what the trades does for a lot of women. It gives you empowerment.
so this young girls you empower, what is the ages that you run these camps and workshops?
From 6 to 17.
6 to 17. Yeah.
Yeah, from 6 years old, we put tools in their hands. We teach them that jobs don't have genders, and we tell them they can build the world that they want. They have to be bold. We teach them to be brave. We teach them to be awesome and fearless and strong. It's like a chant that we do, and they embrace it and believe it. I love it.
Yeah. So what happens when a young girl picks up a tool for the first time? What's the shift you see?
Yeah, it's an immediate shift. So I didn't realize I was just doing this because I love girls and I wanted to be part of the change, right? But I didn't align how the tools, myself growing up, not having any self-confidence and not realizing every time like I'm in my Carhartts and doing my plumbing, I feel like a superhero. But it wasn't like a connection. When I saw the girls come to camp And the first day, their mothers bring them because the mothers wanted to do something like this when they were growing up. And they signed their daughters up. The girls are timid. By the end of the day, the first day of doing architecture or sheet metal, it's an instant shift. They now start to believe they can, and not like they can. And it's immediate. I've seen it even with women. I did maybe about 6 years ago a workshop for just women because the mothers were like, what about us? I'm all about the girls. But even at that workshop, women put on a tool belt and they started crying. Just putting it on and then holding a drill and being able to do something, or like I taught them how to fix the flapper and unclog the sink, and they were crying. A lot of them said they wished they wanted to do something like this when they were younger, but their parents, society told them they can't. Even yesterday, I went to school and one of the teachers told me she so wanted to be in construction, but they told her she couldn't. And now she regrets that. There's a lot of women out there want to do these jobs, but nobody really believes that they can because they look at the physical work and not realizing a lot of the stuff in construction people don't realize is a lot of mental.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Math, English, science, everything you
Yes.
can think of.
Yeah.
You have a mantra that
Yeah.
you use: jobs don't have genders. So when did this idea crystallize for you?
I think since I was a little girl, when I was a little girl growing up in the Caribbean household, women are raised to be mothers and caretakers, and we probably could be like, teachers. And if we was good enough to able to go to university, lawyers and all of those other things. But primarily, we are raised to be caregivers. So I didn't like that. I didn't like that since I was a little girl, I saw my cousins and all the boys getting to go outside and play football, play cricket, you know, do all of those things. And we had to stay home and clean the house and cook. And I just felt that was so wrong. I think since then, it was in my mind that I knew, like, I used to say to myself, I am not going to be that. Like, I didn't want to just be a housewife. I wanted more. Not that I ended up getting married young, but I still wanted more. And I figured, like, even if it was a teacher, a police officer, something. So that's where that came from. Being just very rebellious and always looking at every commercial, everything, and say, why there's not a woman there? Every speaking panel, and you look and there's only men talking about. I'm like, why there's no woman? So I've always just been that rebellious of wanting to see. I didn't, rebellious, but just wanting to see equality. I grew up in the church, and for me, the church speaks about equality, and that should just come all the way, all around. So I mean, it's probably all of those put together that drives that. Jobs don't have genders. It is, yeah.
You have a daughter, right?
Yes, I have a daughter.
And
She is in the trades.
sheet metal?
Yeah, she's a sheet metal worker.
So interesting that she didn't go into plumbing, but tell us a little bit about what she does in sheet metal, because maybe that's something that no one ever thought about.
Yeah, sheet metal is a great career. So in a way, she wanted to be a lawyer like me. She was attending, she started to go to college to do it and wasn't taking it seriously. And I am from that old school. I am not going to send you to school to party and pay pay money for you to have an experience of when you could do that for free, staying home, right? And she tried, she was in law enforcement. She worked as a prison officer. She tried all of that and all the other things. And then one day she's like, maybe I should try to get into trades. Now, I never dissuade her. I never tried to like, you should come. But when I said, why don't just give it a try? Later on, when she tried everything else, and she said she didn't want to do plumbing because she felt like I had carved out a space. Even before Tools Tiaras, a lot of people knew me because I was like the one plumber would be on many jobs. So she didn't want to have to compete with people comparing her plumbing and to me. So she tried sheet metal. So sheet metal workers, that beautiful, comfortable air you feel when you go to offices and the movie theater, that ambient temperature. The sheet metal workers make that ductwork that you see, and the HVAC. That's what they do. They provide heat and cooled air and all of that all at once.
So for someone who doesn't know the skill set they need, is it TIG, MIG, welding?
No, well, all the
No.
trades have welding. So
Welding,
like
okay.
so all the trades, you don't have to, like, even as plumbers, we have plumbers that are specifically, they learn everything like I did in school, but now they specialize in welding. Even the sheet metal workers have that. You can specialize in it. But it's just the idea of you learning the science, you working with these big ducts, those ductworks that you see exposed, they build that. So they're the one trade that still actually make their own material that they install. So they make the ducts from scratch with the tin and fit it together and put it up. And it requires almost all the union apprenticeships. You have to go to school and learn math and science. So as a tradeswoman evangelist, self-appointed, um, I really want people to understand, and parents listening and teachers and guidance counselors, that the trades is part of STEM. There is science, there's technology, there's engineering, there's art, and there's mathematics. All of that is in construction. I just think that people separate it because they're looking at the dirty Carhartt, the helmet, the dirty boots, and judging that, not realizing that if you do a union apprenticeship, you have to learn all of that. I had to learn cylinders and atmospheric pressure and Pythagoras' theorem for offsets. They have to learn the same thing, all the trades.
So there's a great video regarding your award of excellence. And I'm going to share that in the show notes. What I think is so important, why everyone should see this, it visualizes the importance of introducing girls to the trades at an early age. And they actually get to see you in the classroom doing all of this. And you mentioned that this whole idea of STEM or STEAM should be introduced and with the trades focus. What else do you think educators, schools, companies, what else could they do?
Okay, we have to remove the stigma and stop assuming, because it's just an assumption, that people who are in the trades are not intelligent. It is such a fallacy. And the reason why I say that is every single one of you listening to my voice uses every single thing and trusts that the bridges you drive over, the buildings you go in, everything is going to work, so that the people who build those, come up with those numbers, have to be intelligent. So stop it, right? And then we need our government. I know people don't like government involvement, but we need to be able to really find a way to bring back the trades in the schools and fund it. That's how we need them to support these initiatives. We need to get the tradesmen and the tradeswomen like myself who love teaching and would walk away from the job site to go teach the generation, because we as a country, it is going to cost us so much money. And everybody, all those who have this thing about immigrants, if we do not have our citizens here picking up the tools, we'll have to import. It's just like anything else, right? If we don't have the manpower or the people willing to do these jobs, we have to bring them in. So let us get back to getting back the way we built this country through the Industrial Revolution and all the phases after that. Let's get back to that. And that's one of the things I want to change. I want people to stop really thinking that people in the trades are not smart. You trust everything. You trust the toilet is not going to explode because we did the science. We calculated properly with the atmospheric pressure, how many floors, the correct size pipe. We did that so that you now use all of these things without worry. So please, that is one of the biggest fallacies why I am so pushing to be talking about it and to be on the media, whatever chance I get, to really change that imagery of the men and women who work in the skilled trades.
Yeah, super shameful because there is so much to be had and people can move into become a leader. They might
Yeah.
also do other things that support
Yeah.
the people in the trades. So not just, oh, that's something you go do when you don't go to college. What would you want every girl listening to feel after hearing you talk about this?
I want every girl or woman, because you can start at any age in a union apprenticeship. I mean, you probably don't want to start at 60, but if you want to, you can. Because it's more the elements. I want you to believe that you belong anywhere you want to. And if you are listening and want a career that you can have, that you can move anywhere within this big world that we live in, and you love working with your hands, you love the outdoors, and you love solving puzzles, because that's what the trades is, I think you can. And even if you never ever join the trades, I want you to know that you can pick up a tool in your house and do something. It is really you trying it and just removing the fear. That's my advice.
Empowering is a word you used earlier, which I think is really great to have a visual of this is what you can do. But we would be remiss if we didn't discuss just a minute or so what your thoughts about AI in the whole construction and trades.
Listen, I think a lot of people don't want to embrace it, but you have to embrace it, because whether we want it or not, it is here to stay. And I want to say that AI is here, but at this point, it's going to take a long time before it can take the trade jobs. Just like I was being very strategic about what I choose, let us give our kids more option. And I'll just share this. I am on my executive board for my union, right? And every month we have, new kids coming in or people coming in, and we ask this question. And this is going to be, I hope this is eye-opening. We ask all those who have served our country, and they get up and we tell them, thank you for your service. We applaud them, really love on them. That's something I love that we do. And the next question is all those who went to college. And years ago, when I first started, we might have like one or two or three people. Sometimes almost a half of the room had went to college and now trying the trades. Just think about the debt they have incurred, and now they're going to use their union salary to pay that off. That's what I think about AI. Just think about it that way. Why go through that whole thing when you have a path of least resistance? It's not easy. I'm not trying to make it sound like being in the trades is easy. It's mentally and physically, not so much physically, physically in the sense of the weather, depending on where you live, right? But to know that there's so many people out there getting these degrees and then turn into the trades, what is that telling you, right? Why go get yourself in debt when you know that is something that you're really not sure you want to do, And that's what I have to say.
Yeah, thanks. So the final question, when people hear your name 20 years from now, what do you want it to stand for?
I wanted to stand for that she stood on business with what she believed about her love of kids, the love of country, and the love of trades. I would just so people remember that with everything that I do, I'm very intentional. And when I love something, like I love this country, I love being with the kids, and I love, 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 love being a plumber. I would love them to remember that and know that I gave my heart and I gave my all. I really to everything. I think that's how I'd like to be remembered. And that was fun too,
I want to thank you so much, Judaline. I have been following you for a while. I like your message. I like what you stand for. Young girls having the ability to come into this trades, which is so varied and vast.
Yeah.
So for those who want to get in touch with you, I'll put your contact information in the
Yeah.
show notes. You're on LinkedIn and other social platforms. I'm also going to share that video because you won an award, and the video, as I said earlier, really shows what you're doing right in the thick of it with the girls. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity to just share with your audience, and I hope that they're inspired to know that they can do anything they want to do. And that's my mission.
From apprenticeship programs to challenging outdated stereotypes, this episode is a reminder that skilled trades are innovative and technical careers. What Judaline shares about union apprenticeship programs and the value of earning while learning. Why trades deserve more respect and visibility in schools. The importance of challenging outdated ideas about trades. How confidence grows when young girls are encouraged to try something new by picking up tools. And one of the biggest takeaways from today is jobs don't have genders. Opportunity should be open to everyone. And you can find information on how to contact Judaline in the show notes. Are you ready to take the next step in your own career journey? Well, I'm here to help through personalized coaching. I support professionals in trades and construction to create a strategy that aligns with who they are to meet their goals. Enjoyed this episode? Then follow the Career Intelligence podcast and share it with someone who's been wondering what AI and career strategies mean for their future. Thanks so much for listening. We will be back soon with another episode. In the meantime, stay curious, keep learning, and keep building your career intelligence.